I mean, I know who he is. He's the backup quarterback to James Winston. But where's James Winston? I thought he was our quarterback.
I think he got hurt.
He got hurt last year. Hey guys, welcome to the Watchmen. We're here today live. This is on this DJ Reed Facebook page. So if you're checking this out, you are in the right spot. Guaranteed. We're going to get into this to let you guys know this is the Watchmen. This is part of the movement ministries. This is our men being men. This is our Joe Rogan experience.
Yeah,
this is
absolutely.
I think that should be
we haven't done one of these in a very long time because we've had some ups and downs, some moments of not being here or bad timing, that type of thing, and it's interesting to come back to this, and we're in a kind of a different setting here instead of in my usual location. So
I like this better.
I think I do too. It's a more
personal.
Yeah,
personal space, I feel like I can talk to you more about stuff instead of like looking at you across the room.
Yeah, to make sure I'm still awake.
Yeah.
Just messing with you. But
I wonder if we should change it to the Watchmen experience.
Ooh, yeah.
Because that'd be pretty cool. That'd definitely be pretty
cool. Yeah.
The Watchmen experience. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
So we haven't been here in a couple of weeks. I know that we've been playing reruns on the app, but this is us going live today, just to
allow everyone to know that we are still alive,
and that we still have very masculine opinions about stuff.
Yeah, especially some of the topics we've been kind of waltzing in, and because even though like some of these occasions where you don't see us go live, I'm still showing up, not every weekend, but still showing up, and we're here, and me and DJ are sitting here talking, and there's probably some moments that could have been recorded and been beneficial for you guys, but to hear this or to hear the conversation being played out. However, we're doing it today,
right?
So you'll be able to capture whatever we're going to get into today. So.
Yeah, I was thinking about us this week about today and some of the stuff I want to talk about because there's so much that has been going on, just sheerly in the world, just sheerly in the world. There's so much going on. And as men, we've talked about this the past couple of weeks as far as, and I think we talk about this a lot in our ministry, where it's hard for us to see men coming together for a common cause.
Yeah.
Like, it really is hard. Like, and I don't know why. I was watching some TikTok videos, which I kind of do from time to time, and there was these men that were talking about the same thing. They were saying men don't have tribes anymore.
No.
Like there's no tribalness into us, and that right now that may be getting us canceled because that's probably a.
Well, I'd almost go down to the only type of tribe or something like that you would see as like a come together moment would be whether you're in some sort of law enforcement, military. Those are pretty prevalent. Like you just see it, but then on the other side, on the civilian side, on all of us, just normal everyday citizens, just. We go to Walmart or whatever, it almost seems like it comes down to like football teams. I know it sounds as ridiculous as it is, but like if you got, we're all Saints fans or something like that, then me, you, and Drew can all have a conversation, a very long conversation, a very like
detailed,
and it's a bonding moment, but it's almost like you have to have this common goal, and the goal really isn't that big. So yeah, our favorite football team's the Saints,
and
but then how deep does that really go?
We want to cheer them till they win.
Yeah.
And see, that's the thing, like for us, it's always been about changing men and women's hearts. For us, even as I say, women, we're supposed to influence our women. I mean, you think about it, women are who they are today because of us.
Yeah.
I mean, that may be offensive to some people, and that's okay. Because that's just the facts.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, the older women of the day were saying, hey, you need to be better than your man. You can do whatever a man can do, you can do. Constantly comparing woman to man. And so they have now women trained to want to be a man, and then they have men trained to want to be a woman.
Yeah.
See, our society's all messed up. And
it's all jacked up. Actually, I was down there with Colby. Hanging out with him. I was speaking with his mom and just having a simple conversation. And we got onto this topic very long conversation about the differences, especially in like the dating world, and just the dynamic is so messed up, just ridiculous. And when you go back, and you grew up during this time period as well, so you would know, even though you were more into the hip hop genre, during the '80s there was a lot of rebellious music, so a lot of rock bands, a lot of heavy metal and stuff like that, and then all these like emo, the Green Day, that type of people. It's all about rebellion. It's all about going against the grain or going against authority, going against all this. And so I feel like that has a very big influence to you got your teens growing up, and then they see this and they want to be rebellious. And then you got the parents who are not like that Abraham Lincoln style of fathership and stuff, where they're like, no,
that's true.
I'm going to hit you with this 2x4 if you don't quit.
Right.
To discipline you. And there's not really any of that. It was more of probably throw your hands up. I can't deal with this. This kid is just out of control, and just let him go. And then they let that individual go out into the world, and they're just jacked up. And then they go and reproduce, and they create more jacked up people. And it's just this cycle of BS that just continually happens. So it's poor leadership, and a lot of it. And what was interesting was, I think she said that she was listening in on some of the conversations and some of the podcasts that you've been doing, and me and you've been doing, which I didn't know that. So that was...
Who is this?
Angie, you remember with Dan Man?
Yeah.
So I thought that was very interesting to see that, or to hear that, and what she was bringing up, which is the same thing that you brought up a while back, a couple podcasts ago, was that the women have had to take the lead, had to take the charge, had to pick up and go.
Yeah.
But there's a fine balance when you go down that route. There needs to be the women need to know what they need to do too, as well as what the man needs to know. So it's both sides being jacked up. You got one side that doesn't get taught anything, so they're absolutely useless. Low test. We've talked about that. So you have all that, and then on the other side, they're being taught, your tits can get you anywhere in this world. You're a princess. You can do no wrong. You're just the perfect little girl, and you deserve all the golds and riches like freaking Madonna or something. Like, what?
I want to touch on the whole thing about. We get behind the football team, right?
Yeah.
But yet we won't get behind things that are truly effective.
That truly matter.
And I'm not talking, and this is, for me, I'm not talking about political either, because politics doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because it has to be something deeper than that, because the politics we have here are not the same politics that are in Brazil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's totally different politics. Yeah. But the same things that are going on now is the same things that are happening in Brazil. The same type of dynamic. Governments are trying to take over, blah, blah, blah. So we have to go back to, what is that common goal that will take us so deep that we go back to poker nights, to where we're just hanging around, smoking cigars, playing cards, and doing those type of things. Absolutely. Not just about football. And I'm literally meaning not about football, not about of the world. I'm talking about us coming together, like I said, playing poker, smoking cigars, talking about Jesus, talking about how we can further the kingdom of God, talking about doing those things like that. Because we don't have that, and I think as men, we have been given a false narrative of what that's supposed to look like. Yeah. Like we're now told that we're supposed to, how do I want to put this? We're told that we're supposed to put our woman like way up here above ourselves and everything else, which we are according to the word. If you're married, right? If you're married, there's a different dynamic. But as a single person, as a male to female ratio, I'm not going to put you someplace bigger than myself, unless we're married. Yeah. And I think over the years we've let the majority, men and women, talk the masculine men down to being individuals. Mm-hmm. Like if you notice if you notice in today's society, you ask a man, who does he turn to in his time of trouble? Nobody. Yeah. Most people tell you no. But see, back in the day when you had poker nights, when you had bowling leagues or whatever the situation, that was the group of men coming around, and you would talk about that stuff. You would talk about whatever was going on in your day-to-day life. and you got to bond. We don't have that. There are bowling leagues out there if people want to be a bowling, but I'm talking about that ultimate relationship to where we know that we can create change through the power of Christ.
What's interesting that you say that is that there's a lot of people on YouTube that aren't even about like a Christian background or trying to spread the message of God. They're just content creators, and there's multiple ones, and they all say, you got to get out there, you got to join a club, you got to do this. So they're seeing it even on not even just obviously a spiritual front, but seeing it just as a normal civilian, just person. Like, wow, this is crazy.
That speaks a lot of truth to that, because it's not just about, we were talking about Andrew Tate before we got on live, and I mean, Andrew Tate's okay. I'm not saying he's good or bad or whatever. I'm not one to follow him because while he says some very bold things, I think sometimes it may come from a different place than it needs to be. He's trying to prove something. You know what I'm saying? Like, his demeanor is, I've got something to prove. Whereas I don't have anything to prove to anybody. Cancel me today, I'm still going to be me today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get fired up and try to come back at the machine because you canceled me or whatever. You get what I'm saying? So for me, I think he says some very bold stuff, but I don't necessarily think that you should entertain trying to be like that. Maybe in some aspects, but not the whole fullness of it.
Depends on what you're talking about. It's very situational that you need to be that aggressive or fighting about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes sense that, okay, in the correct scenario, yeah, this is BS that this has happened. However, in our case, if it were to happen, we got other ways. We already know other ways. So that may happen. All right, that sucks. Cool.
And so it sounds cool when he talks, because he talks real fast. Hey, man, if you want to make some money, I got you right here, right now, here. The American people, they're just so stupid. They're all locked up because the government. I mean, he talks real fast, very bold. Like I said, it's not. I'm not saying what he's saying is right or wrong. The principle and the motivation. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Like, a pastor will get into a church with the right motivation, but then something happens to that particular pastor where it turns him into another type of person.
Yeah.
So, I think that could be when we look at somebody like Andrew Tate, which, like I said, we have here that sense of wanting to come together. It just seems like it's hard to get men motivated. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have no drive, like we were talking, no testosterone, no nothing that gets us to drive to be better. And so, like we were talking the other week about now, while I do believe that we're in an age of Eve, but run parallel with that is probably like an age of Deborah. Deborah was somebody that the Lord used because the men didn't want to do what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to go in battle and they were supposed to fight, but they were like, we don't have no leader. We can't go do this. Deborah was like, yo, why can't y'all do this? Y'all are the men of God. She was like, why aren't y'all doing it? But she had to step up and do that. And I think what we see today as far as believers, because men have been scared to fight back against the beliefs of the Christian faith. And what I mean by that is exactly what I mean by that. When I see something wrong, I'm going to call it out in a church, and I'm going to challenge a pastor. I don't care, because I'm not challenging you because I want to be better than you. I challenge you because I don't understand or because I seek clarity. Well, as men in the church, it's harder for us to challenge that pastor because your wife or your girlfriend be like, hey, don't challenge him. That's not nice. That's not right to do. Like, what? Yeah, it is. I'm a dude. That's a dude. He's saying some crazy stuff. I need to make sure that what he's saying ain't too crazy because I'm responsible for what you're learning. So, yeah, you need to hold on. Let me go talk to this dude. But like I've done several times, and I've gotten thrown out of churches because of it. You know what I'm saying? And that's okay. I'm not saying that with a badge of honor, but what I am saying is that I am no longer, and have been for a very long time, no longer wanting to hear about people's fake beliefs in this Christian. Hear this. In 1999, nearly 70% of the American population claimed to be Christian. Guess how much it is in
I'm
2019?
assuming like 20%.
No, but it was 49%. A drastic drop in 20 years. Imagine what that's going to be in the next 20 years if we don't stand up right now. Like if we don't start standing up right now and calling out these pastors. And I'm not being that in a mean way, but we've got to address some of this stuff. I saw on the internet a few weeks ago where there was a United Methodist Church that actually ordained a transgender person to be a pastor. That is not acceptable. You know what I'm saying? And no, where is the men in that building to say there's probably not no men? That's because they've been even in the church.
I mean, they're just living castrated. That's all it is.
And there's a certain amount of truth to that because in the church buildings you have this one guy who wants to have all the popularity, and so he says all the right things, and so he wants to stay woke.
Then in those situations like that you talk about, and this may be something for a leading lady to have to cover in her stuff, is in that situation where you're sitting there, or you said the men of the church tries to stand up, and then the wife, girlfriend, whoever you want to call it, it's like, no. Well, why doesn't she not? Where does she get the nerve to sit there and try and pipe up in that particular point right there? See, that's where like I get frustrated about this, seeing like you said, the age of Deborah, just because I know that that's not the right way. So it pisses me off.
Me too.
Because it makes me want to say, turn around, sit down, shut up. But that type of person is very rare to come across nowadays for multitude of reasons. But yes, in that particular instance, then there's placements for both people.
And so that's
where I get like the men or younger generation. They're not getting taught leadership skills and all this stuff, right?
They're just being programmed.
Just being programmed. But on the same factor, that's also equally as important on the woman's side as well. Equally.
Well, that's what I like about the dynamics of me and leading ladies' relationship is that if I was to stand up, she's not going to say nothing to me.
Yeah.
Until we get home. Then she may say something to me. But she's going to let me be the man that God's called me to be, and that's going to how it rolls.
Which that makes sense. You come home, maybe something was not understood. Or
she's done it.
Why'd you do that?
Yo, she's done it 100 times. We've been.
But
that's okay. And here's the thing, because of my wife, because of who she is, when she gets me home and she tells me these things, I may get a little frustrated, but at the end of the day, she's saying something out of love just to make me better, not to criticize me.
No.
And see, that's another mindset that as men we don't have, that our wives or our counterparts is supposed to be there to help lift us up. And so if our wife gives us a critique, it's not necessarily against, I don't know everything. It's that, hey, babe, I see that you may have done this a little this way. Maybe you can. She did it today, driving home. I went and preached at the United Methodist Church in Boone's Mill, and she was telling me, she's like, you did really good, really great word. I was talking about forgiveness, and she said, but you took a little too long on getting to your point.
Yeah.
But she would never do that in front of the congregation. She would never do that.
Yeah.
But we got into the car, she said that.
See, that's perfectly acceptable because it's between you two.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? When that shit happens and it's up front, in front, like to me, if I was in that situation, you would see me. I would be in orbit. Pissed off. I'd want to flip something.
Especially if I'm in public somewhere and you do that. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I am a man and I still can hold my own. I'm not saying that in a bragging way, but if I had to go to jail for something, I'm okay with it. Because if I'm going to jail for something, that means I'm doing it for the right reason. Yeah. I'm not just out here trying to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
But if it came down to it, of course I'm going to. My wife is probably not going to approve of that situation, but she's not going to try to stop me unless it's like going to kill me.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And so that's what needs to be taught. That's why I like what she tries to teach here for women. I mean, she's trying to incorporate that in her teaching so women can come to her and see a good example of a godly woman, because that's what we're missing also.
Yeah.
We talk
It's
about
both
men.
fronts.
We talk about men, but we
Yeah.
also need to talk about the women. I'm not going to talk about it because I'm not a woman. I do not claim to be a woman. My pronouns is me. I am DJ, Pastor DJ, the people's pastor, a dude, and that's it. I'm not into all these pronoun stuff, you know. And and so what we're trying to do is attack it from both fronts, because if you go, like I said, you go into church buildings, you see more women, because all the men's done been pissed off because they can't confront the pastor because he's somehow protected, and so they just don't go back. Right? I mean, typically that's what happens, I guess. And then you have these women that go to these churches, and while most of them love God, and so they're trying to produce the kingdom and going forward, that's the Deborah. Where's the men? Why ain't the men just coming back and saying, ladies, sit down. We got this. And in these environments, I say it's because of that one person that thinks he's King Almighty in them buildings. Yeah. And that's what I speak out against. Like this past Friday on the Sleepy DJ show, I was talking about Halloween. And I was telling all the pastors out there, and I'll say it all again. Yo, quit mixing it. I don't care what you want to do, but quit bringing trick-or-treating to a church. That's where we get problems, where the pastor of these buildings are trying to get people to come to their churches so they have like a trunk or treat, or they have some type of Halloween festive. Well, that's no. That doesn't happen. That's not supposed to happen. Whether you celebrate it or not, that's a totally different subject. You know what I'm saying? Because look, at the end of the day, the tabernacle that was built in the Old Testament, some of the stuff that goes on, they would have been stoned to death.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people don't have the same reverence to
they don't have the same respect.
They have no respect for the fact that that's it's supposed to be a godly building.
Well, that's what we're going to get to is with all that BS. Is it really godly, or is it just a building?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I put those quotations up, because if the presence of God is there, why would you want to ruin that with a man-made tradition? You know that. I was saying, you know, don't bring the 4th of July there. And some people, that's very patriotic. I have a flag, you know, but don't take it to that building, because that's not where God wants it.
The separation of church and state, buddy.
So if I'm at home and I want my kids to dress up like Spider-Man and go get candy, well, have at it.
Yeah.
Do you, but don't do it at the building if it's really a godly building, because you're not respecting him. Where do we see that at? Jesus, even in the New Testament, went back into the tabernacle and flipped over tables because they were disrespecting his Father's house. He said, "You made my Father's house a place of thieves, a den of thieves," because they were trying to exchange money and stuff like that. But it's supposed to be a house of prayer. I do not think Jesus is going to go get dressed up like Spider-Man and take your kid trick-or-treating. No. It's not going to happen. No. And to try to make believe that something like that will happen, but that's because there's no men stepping up and saying exactly what I just said in those church buildings. That's what we need, is men to rise up and say, no, we got to have a better reverence for God than this. Even if it means you and your family have to be removed from that place, we've got to start because that's how we're going to make change in this country. What was our country built on? Freedom of religion. One nation under God. We built it under God. And so we've gotten so far removed from that, but the men don't step up for that. We just don't, because we don't know how. Because if we do, then we look at disrespected, or you're not saved, or you're not this. Let me tell you what. If I'm coming to your church building and you're doing something crazy and I say something about it, just best believe I'm still saved today as I would be on that day. Because, but being saved doesn't mean that I'm going to sit by and watch a transgender get behind the pulpit and not say something about it. You're daggone right I am. You're daggone right I am. You're not going to sit by and just watch the LGB 7322Q55, whatever they call themselves, take my rainbow. I'm not going to stand for that. And we got to start talking that way instead of worrying about, Republican, Democrat, Independent. None of that's going to matter. They're all screwed up. We have to go back to that heart change for everybody, but it starts with the men. But how do you make that happen? Wanda told me today that she was looking on the internet and there was like a Jehovah's Witness ad online.
Mhm.
Get paid $25 an hour to share Jesus Christ.
Whoa. Whoa.
What does that say? To me, that says a magnitude of what part of what's wrong with us at all.
Is the money aspect. Because there's monetary value on every damn thing. That is some shit right there.
But here's the thing.
Wow.
Whether they did it right or wrong, I've got to say what is their motive? Because look,
Exactly.
nobody's there to do it. We've got to get it out there. So I guess we got to pay people. That's the other thing. That's the other problem with that whole thing. Because there's nobody there. The men out there doing it, they have to feel like they got to pay somebody to do it. How crazy is that? On both aspects, bringing the money in it to share Jesus is totally not. That's totally not cool at all. But to even be in a position where you got to feel like you got to pay somebody to tell about Jesus, that's totally different too.
That's very bad.
I mean, it is. Why are we not stepping up and saying that, if you want to have debauchery, you do your debauchery. Quit taking it around my kids. I mean, we live in a society where it's offensive if I say a transgender person is not well mentally, hypothetically. Okay? They don't like that. But why is that so bad to say? And why are we as men so afraid to be canceled? Because let me tell you what, enough of us get canceled. Well, back in the day, they figured it out. They figured it out because we have a country. A group of men got together and figured it out.
Yeah.
We should not be scared to have everything removed like Kanye West. Oh, I don't really care for the dude. I just don't care for Kanye West, right? Mm-hmm. But he's speaking out. He's speaking.
What's he been saying? I haven't been.
Well, he's talking about the government. He's talking about how they're trying to silence him, and they are. They're trying to silence him, pit him as crazy, but they've been trying to pit him for crazy for 20 years. But Adidas just dropped him. Bellagio just dropped him. The Gap just dropped him. All kinds of people just dropping him.
Wow.
But he said something that people didn't like. The thing of it is
What did he say?
something to do with the Jews or something. I'm not 100% sure. I think he said something about George Soros, who is a Jew. So they take it and twist it that he didn't like the Jews. I don't know.
That's the first time I think I've seen them go against a black person.
I'm just saying. That's the thing, is that we have to be we have to have that boldness like Kanye. He's like, I don't care, cancel me. I'm still not going to shut up. I'm still not going to shut up because what I believe is what I believe, and so we need to be doing that. I mean, we may be doing it all day long every day.
I think the difference here is as well is, and it's just a thought that popped in, is there's a lot of followers rather than leaders to begin with. So just his personality, just straight up, like my brother is more of a follower.
Mm-hmm. Mine too.
And so and whether that comes down to personality traits or whatever,